बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। Peshawar Public School and College. Today we will discuss about chapter number 13, S&P block elements, lecture number 7. The topic of our discussion is acid-base behavior of oxides of third period. Now, a table is provided to you in which the formula of different oxides of the period 3 elements is given. In the same way, the nature of the element is given, which are present in the oxides of period 3 element, and the nature of oxide is also given. So the first two oxides, sodium and magnesium, it contains sodium and magnesium, which are metals, and the nature of these oxide is basic oxide. They are also called metallic oxides because when they are dissolved in water, they result in the formation of bases. The third one is aluminium, is also a metal, but its oxide nature is amphoteric. Silicon is a metalloid, but its oxide is acidic in nature. Phosphorus, sulfur, and chlorine, these all are non-metals, and its oxide is the oxides of these elements are acidic in nature, because acidic oxides are those oxides when they were dissolved in water, they result in the formation of acids. While the amphoteric oxides show the behavior of both, they can react with acids as well as with the base. Now, trend in the acid-base behavior of the period 3 oxides. So when we go from left to right in the third period, first of all, from left on the left side, the oxides which are present, they are mostly basic oxides, while on the right side the strongly acidic oxides are present, while in the center the amphoteric oxides are present. So amphoteric oxides are the oxides which show the behavior of both acidic and basic bases. Now, if we look at the oxides of the period 3 elements, and when we go from left to right, they are in the highest oxidation state. Like when we show about when we take the example of sodium oxide, sodium is in the +1 oxidation state. But when we take the oxide of chlorine, chlorine is in the highest oxidation state, like +7. While the non-metal oxides, their acidity is usually in term of acidic solution. We will discuss when we dissolve these oxides in water, they result in the formation of acidic solution. Like sulfur trioxide, when they react with water, they give sulfuric acid. In the same way, the acidic oxides, when they are treated with bases, they result in the formation of salts. Like when sodium hydroxide is treated with sulfur trioxide, it results in the formation of sodium sulfate. Now, dear students, look at this table in which the oxides are arranged on the basis of pH. Like the first three oxides on the left side, the oxides of sulfur and the oxides of phosphorus, they are on the acidic sides, because they are in the acidic pH range from 0 to 3 they are given. So they are strongly acidic oxides. While the silicon dioxide, SiO2, which is given in the pH range from 6 to 7, it means it's weakly acidic oxides. And the next oxides which are given, aluminium oxide, magnesium oxides, and sodium oxides. Aluminium oxide is amphoteric in nature, but it is slightly alkaline. Its pH is 9. While the magnesium oxide and the sodium oxides, their pH is greater than 9, greater than 10. So it means these are strongly basic oxides. Now, reactions of the oxides with water, acids, and bases. So here, as the topic name is acidic behavior of oxides of period 3 element, acidic and basic behavior. So here we will take each oxide of the period 3 element, and we will treat it with the water, then we will treat it with the acid or with the base. Then from the reaction we can determine that either it is acidic oxide or either it is a basic oxide. Like if it will be acidic oxide, it will react with the base and it forms salt and water. And if it will be basic oxide, it will react with the acid and result in the formation of salt and water. In the same way, the acidic oxides, when they are added to water, they result in the formation of acidic solutions and acids are formed. While the basic oxides, when they are treated with water, they result in the formation of basic solution or bases are formed. while the amphoteric oxides, they can react with both acids and bases and show the properties of both acidic acids and bases. So number one, we will take the sodium oxide. So sodium oxide is a simple strongly basic oxide. It is basic because it contains the oxide ion O minus 2, which is very strong base. So which have the tendency to combine with the hydrogen ion. So as the oxide ion has the tendency to combine with the hydrogen ion, so when it is treated with water, it results in the formation of a base, which is sodium hydroxide. Now the reaction with water, as the sodium oxide, when it is treated with water, with cold water, it results in the formation of sodium hydroxide. The reaction is highly exothermic, and when we determine the pH of that solution, it will be about 14, which show it's a strongly basic oxide. As shown in the reaction, when sodium oxide is treated with cold water, it results in the formation of sodium hydroxide. Now, the reaction of sodium oxide with acids. As sodium oxide is a strongly basic oxide, so when it is treated with the acid like HCl, a dilute hydrochloric acid is taken, it results in the formation of salt and water, which shows that here this sodium oxide, it acts as a like a base, and it's basic in nature, because when it is treated with acid, it results in the formation of salt and water. So here it acts like a base. Now the second oxide is magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is also a simple basic oxide because it also contains the oxide ion O minus 2, but it's not as strongly basic oxide as sodium oxide, because in case of sodium oxide, the oppositely charged ion sodium ion and the oxide ion, they are attracted to each other by strong forces of attraction, but the attractions are between +1 charge of sodium and -2 charge of oxygen, which is not very strong as magnesium oxide. Like in magnesium oxide, the +2 charge of magnesium is attracted by the -2 charge of oxygen, and these attractions are more as compared to force of attraction between the sodium and magnesium ion, and more amount of energy will be required to break these forces between the magnesium and oxygen as compared to the sodium and oxygen. So we can say like the reaction, the break, more of the energy will be consumed on the breaking of bond between the magnesium and oxygen, and less energy will be released during the reaction. So the reactions of the magnesium and magnesium oxide, they are less exothermic as compared to the reactions of sodium oxide, and their reaction with water, it will be less as compared to the reaction of water with the sodium oxide. Now reaction with water. If we shake white magnesium oxide powder with water, it seems that nothing has happened and no reaction has occurred. But when we determine the pH of that solution, it's around 9. It means that it's slightly alkaline, and it's also shows that the magnesium hydroxide is formed up to some extent, but there are no more hydroxide ions in the solution. It means the reaction takes place up to some extent, and only small amount of the magnesium hydroxide is formed. It means the magnesium oxide is almost insoluble in water. Now reaction with acids. The magnesium oxide, like the sodium oxide, it will also react with the hydrochloric acid, dilute hydrochloric acid, but here in this case we use the warm dilute hydrochloric acid, and it results in the formation of magnesium chloride and water, which shows that here the magnesium oxide, it acts like a base, and it's a strongly basic oxide, but weakly basic as compared to sodium oxide, which can react readily. Now, the third one is aluminium oxide. So, when we discuss about the properties of the aluminium oxide, it exists in a number of different forms. One of the form which is very unreactive, it is known as alpha aluminium oxide, which is produced at a very high temperature. But here, the form of the aluminium oxide which we will use, that will be very reactive. Aluminium oxide is amphoteric in nature. It shows the reactions both with the acids as well as with the base. Now the reaction of aluminium oxide with water. Aluminium oxide do not react with the water in a simple way as the sodium oxide and the magnesium oxide react, and it do not dissolve in water. Although it still contain the oxide ion, so they are held very strongly, too strongly in the solid lattice to react with water. So now the reaction with acids as in the previous reaction with the water, we have discussed the aluminium oxide. It do not react with the water like the sodium oxide and the magnesium oxide. Sodium oxide react very readily, easily, and the magnesium oxide react up to some extent, and the aluminium oxide it do not react with water. So now the reaction with acid is as aluminium oxide, it can also contain the oxide ion. So it react with acids in the same way as the sodium oxide and the magnesium oxide. So when it is treated with the hot dilute hydrochloric acid, it results in the formation of aluminium chloride, a salt, and water. The reaction of aluminium oxide, this shows that here the aluminium oxide, it shows the basic side of the amphoteric nature. Like this is here, as here we have discussed, the aluminium oxide is amphoteric in nature. So here it act like a base when it is treated with the acid. Now reaction with bases, aluminium oxide also has acidic side of its amphoteric nature. So when it is treated with the bases such as sodium hydroxide solution, various aluminates are formed. So now the question arises, what are aluminates? Aluminates are those compounds in which the aluminium exists in the negative oxidation state. In case of sodium, there is too much electronegativity difference between the sodium and oxygen to form ionic bond. Because when we go from left to right in third period, the electronegativity value will increases, but the electronegativity difference it will decreases. Electronegativity difference mean when we take the difference between the electronegativity of two elements. So in case of sodium and oxygen, the electronegativity difference is greater, so they form ionic bond. But the electronegativity difference decreases. I mean, it will be very less in case of aluminium and oxygen. So due to which they form the covalent bond. There is a covalent bond present between the aluminium and oxygen. So when aluminium oxide, when it is treated with a hot concentrated sodium hydroxide solution, it results in the formation of colorless solution of sodium tetrahydroxo aluminate, which is a complex. Aluminium oxide is treated with the sodium hydroxide in the presence of water. This reaction show here the aluminium oxide it act as a acid, and this show the acidic side of the amphoteric nature. Now number 4 is silicon dioxide. It's also called silicon 4 oxide. 4 is shown here due to the reason because silicon exists in the +4 oxidation state in silicon dioxide. As we go from left to right in a period, the electronegativity value, as I have discussed, it is increases, but the difference of electronegativity it will decreases. So now in case of silicon and oxygen, the electronegativity difference is negligible, so it do not form the ionic bond. Silicon dioxide, it has no basic properties. It do not contain any oxide ion like the previous one oxides which contain oxide ion. In case of sodium, magnesium and aluminium all contain oxide ion. The silicon dioxide it do not contain any oxide ion. So it do not react with the acids. Instead it's very weakly acidic, and it can react with the strong bases. Like the oxide ion show the basic nature of compound. Here as the silicon dioxide do not contain any oxide ion, it means it do not have the basic nature. It is very weakly acidic, and it can react it do not react with the acid, but it can react with the strong bases. Now the reaction with water, silicon dioxide it do not react with water because the water is unable to break the giant covalent structure of the silicon dioxide. Reaction with bases, silicon dioxide when it is treated with sodium hydroxide solution, it only react with the sodium hydroxide when it is in the hot and concentrated form. So a colorless solution of sodium silicate is formed as shown in the reaction. Silicon dioxide when it is treated with 2 moles of sodium hydroxide, sodium silicate along with the water is formed. Like here, the silica, it show its acidic nature, weakly acidic nature. When it is with sodium hydroxide, it forms sodium silicate. The same silica, can also, when it is treated with the basic oxide, it also show the same nature like acidic, and it result in the formation of calcium silicate. When we carry out the reactions in the blast furnace and during the extraction of iron, so the calcium oxide, it is obtained from the breakdown of the limestone, and it here it is used as an impurity remover. Silica, in the blast furnace, it act as an impurity, and calcium oxide is used to remove the impurity. Like silica cannot be removed easily, so the calcium oxide, which is obtained from the breakdown of the limestone, it act as a impurity remover, is also called flux, and it is treated with silica. So it result in the formation of calcium silicate, which is called slag, and it is now easily removed. So here we can say that silica again, it act as acid, and it show the acidic behavior. Number 5 is phosphorus oxide. So there are two oxides of the phosphorus. One is P4O6 phosphorus 3 oxide, and the other is phosphorus 5 oxide, which is P4O10. Phosphorus 3 show that it is in the here phosphorus in the plus 3 oxidation state, and phosphorus 5 show that here phosphorus is in the plus 5 oxidation state. So phosphorus 3 oxide, when we show the reaction of phosphorus 3 oxide with water, so it will react with the cold water, and it result in the formation of a solution of weak acid like phosphorus acid, which is also known as orthophosphorus acid or phosphonic acid. Its reaction with the hot water, it is very complicated, but when it is treated with the cold water, the reaction is shown below. Phosphorus acid is formed. Now the structure of phosphorus acid is shown, in which the two hydroxyl groups are connected to the phosphorus by a single covalent bond. One of the hydrogen is also connected by a single covalent bond, but the oxygen is connected by a double bond. So the two hydrogens of the hydroxyl group, they show the acidic nature of the phosphorus acid. They can be removed. So the hydrogen ions, they are not released as until you add water to the acid, and even then not as many hydrogen ions are released, because the phosphorus acid, it is very weak acid, and its pKa value is 2, but it's stronger as compared to the other organic acids like ethanoic acid, which has a pKa value of 4.76. Actually, as you know from your previous first year course, that the pKa, which show the strength of acid, it has inverse relation with the strength of acid. Like if pKa value will be greater, weaker will be the acid. Like in this case, they have discussed that ethanoic acid has a pKa greater value, so it's weaker as compared to the phosphorus acid, which has a smaller value of pKa. Next is the reaction of phosphorus acid with bases. So when we treat the phosphorus 3 oxide directly with the base, what will happens? Actually, when phosphorus acid, uh, look at the reaction. In these reactions, when phosphorus acid is treated with sodium hydroxide, it may react in two ways, like depending upon the number of moles of sodium hydroxide or the amount of sodium hydroxide which is used. So in the first step, 1 to 1 ratio between the sodium hydroxide and phosphorus acid is given. Only 1 mole of sodium hydroxide is used. So it results in the formation of sodium dihydrogen phosphide along with water. It means only one hydrogen atom in the form of hydrogen ion is removed from the phosphorus acid. But in case of second reaction, when 2 moles of sodium hydroxide are used with the phosphorus acid, it results in the formation of disodium hydrogen phosphide or phosphate along with the 2 moles of water. So in this case, the two hydrogen atoms in the form of hydrogen ions are removed from the phosphorus acid. The hydrogen ions which are removed, these are the acidic hydrogens, and those hydrogens which are connected to the in the hydroxyl group with the oxygen atom. If you have to react the phosphorus 3 oxide directly with sodium hydroxide, instead of reacting the acid, like here in the above reactions, we have treated the phosphorus acid, which are the acids of acidic oxides of phosphorus. So they say that if we treat directly, instead of taking the acids if we take directly the oxides of the phosphorus and we treat it with the bases, so what will happen? Uh, mm, it will result in the formation of yes, the same product like sodium dihydrogen phosphate or disodium hydrogen phosphate, depending upon the number of moles of sodium hydroxide. If greater is the number of moles of base, so more will be the hydroxyl ion, and it will take the hydrogen ion from the phosphorus acid, or from the oxides of phosphorus which are treated in the presence of water. Now phosphorus 5 oxide, when we take the reaction of phosphorus 5 oxide with water, phosphorus 5 oxide, it react violently, very fastly with the water, and it give a solution which contain a mixture of acids, like the nature of which depend upon the conditions. Like if we take phosphorus 5 acid, which is phosphoric acid, also known as phosphoric acid or orthophosphoric acid, um, uh, when we treat this oxide, acidic oxide, phosphorus 5 oxide, as shown in the reaction, when we treat it with water, it results in the formation of phosphoric 5 acid, or simply phosphoric acid, or also called orthophosphoric acid, as shown in the reaction. Now this, when we look at the structure of phosphoric 5 acid or phosphoric acid, there are three hydroxyl groups connected by the single covalent bond, and all these three hydrogen atoms of the hydroxyl group, they are acidic in nature, and the phosphorus is connected to a single oxygen by a double covalent bond. As they have written that the phosphorus 5 acid, it's a weak acid with a pKa value of 2.5. So this is it's fractionally weaker than the phosphorus acid, because the value of the pKa, it depend upon the value of the pKa, because the phosphorus acid, the value of the pKa was 2, while here the value of pKa of phosphoric acid is 2.15, a little bit more, so it's slightly weaker as compared to the previous one, phosphorus acid. It's depend upon the pKa value. Solutions of the both of these acids of the concentration around 1 moles per dm cube, they will have a pH of about 1. Like if we take the concentration of these acids, phosphoric acid or phosphorus acid, if we take its concentration, which will be 1 moles per dm cube, which show the hydrogen, the amount of the hydrogen ion. This concentration show the amount of the hydrogen ion which will be released by both the acids. So they will have a value of pH 1. Like if we take the negative log of mm, that concentration of hydrogen ion, it will give the pH value of 1. It means there is no such difference between the strength of both. A little bit difference maybe, but there is no such difference. Now reaction with the bases, if we treat this phosphorus oxide with the base phosphorus 5 acid, when it is treated with the base, it result in the formation of three different type of phosphates, like sodium dihydrogen phosphate, disodium hydrogen phosphate, and trisodium phosphate. Uh, Same will be the case if we take the phosphoric acid, or if we take its oxide reaction with the sodium hydroxide. It depends upon the number of moles of the sodium hydroxide which are used. So actually, as this phosphoric acid contains three hydrogens, in the three steps, the three hydrogens are removed. The first step, the first hydrogen is removed. Second step, second hydrogen, and the third step, the third hydrogen is removed. If we again, if we treat the phosphorus 5 oxide directly with the sodium hydroxide solution, rather than making the acid first, like instead of the above reaction, if we treat the sodium hydroxide with the oxide of phosphorus 5, then it will result in the same product, like no same product will be formed here. The product which will be formed, that will be sodium phosphate. And the case is different from the previous one. Like in the previous one, the same product is formed. Here no same product is formed. It will result in the formation of sodium phosphate, and actually a complete reaction will take place here. Now number 6 is sulfur oxides. If we look at the oxides of the sulfur, there are two type of oxides of sulfur, as we have discussed in the previous topic, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. So first we will discuss the sulfur dioxide and we will take its reaction with water. Sulfur dioxide, it is fairly soluble in water. When it is treated with water, it results in the formation of sulfuric acid, which is the formula H2SO3. So the main species in the solution is simply hydrated sulfur dioxide. Actually, they say that in the solution, the sulfur dioxide will be present as hydrated sulfur dioxide. It will be bonded with the water of crystallization in the solution. Whereas the sulfur trioxide, it is exist at all in the solution. Actually, they say that sulfuric acid, it also exists in that solution. It's a weak acid with a pKa value of 1.8. Its pKa value is, as shown, it's smaller as compared to the pKa value of the oxides of the phosphorus. So it means its strength will be more, it will be stronger. The acids of these oxides of the sulfur, they will be stronger as compared to the acids of the oxides of the phosphorus. A reasonably concentrated solution of the sulfuric acid will again have a pH of about 1. So it means that the pH of the sulfuric acid which we will get, it will have a pH of about 1. Now reaction with bases which show its greater strength. Reaction with bases. Sulfur dioxide, it will also react directly with the base like sodium hydroxide. If sulfur dioxide is bubbled through the sodium hydroxide solution, sodium sulfide solution is formed first, followed by the sodium hydrogen sulfide solution when the sulfur dioxide is in excess. Like look at the reaction when sulfur dioxide is treated with 2 moles of the sodium hydroxide, it results in the formation of sodium sulfite along with water. And in the same way, when further sulfur dioxide is passed through that solution which contains sodium sulfide along with water, it results in the formation of sodium hydrogen sulfide, which is also known as sodium sulfate 4 or sodium hydrogen sulfate 4 or sodium bisulfite. So 4 is written actually because here the sulfur exists in the plus 4 oxidation state. Another important reaction of the sulfur dioxide with the silicon dioxide is given. It is similar like the previous reaction of the blast furnace. If here the sulfur dioxide, sorry, SO2, here the sulfur dioxide, it acts as an impurity and it's a flue gas. So when we add calcium oxide, which is obtained from the burning of the decomposition of the calcium carbonate limestone, it results in the formation of calcium sulfide, which is act as a slag and it can be easily removed. And the sulfur dioxide, its impurity, which is also called gangue, and the calcium oxide, it's act as a flux. You already know the flux, gangue, and the slag from your metric course. Now next is the sulfur trioxide. So when we take the reaction of sulfur trioxide with water, it react violently or fastly with the formation of fumes. When treated with water, it produces a fog of concentrated sulfuric acid droplets. When sulfur trioxide is treated with water, it forms sulfuric acid. So when we look at the structure of sulfuric acid, there are 2 double bonds with the 2 oxygen atom and 2 single covalent bonds with the 2 hydroxyl. So the hydrogen of these hydroxyl groups, it's acidic. Sulfuric acid is a strong acid and the solution of it will typically have a pH of around 0. So the pH 0 shows that it undergoes the process of complete ionization. Like all of the sulfuric acid, it will ionize and it result in the formation of hydrogen ions and sulfate ions in the solution. It means the reaction is 100% complete. But here, if you look at the above reaction, they have shown when sulfuric acid is treated with water, it results in the formation of hydronium ion and hydrogen sulfate in the first step. But actually, this reaction is the reaction of sulfuric acid in water. Like in water, it will ionizes in 2 steps. In the first step, it will give hydrogen sulfate. So this hydrogen sulfate is actually weakly acidic because when it is present along with the water, it comes in contact with the water. It again, it can when more water is added to it, it result in the formation of sulfate ion -2 and hydronium ion. So the removal of the second hydrogen, it is difficult. So in fact, the hydrogen sulfate ion, it's relatively weak acid, similar in strength to the acids we have already discussed on this page. So actually, they want to say in this paragraph that the sulfuric acid is not a weak acid; it's a strong acid, because when it is treated with the base, it give in a single step the salt and water. But when it is present in water it ionizes in the two steps. And in the first step it give hydrogen sulfate and hydronium ion. So that hydrogen sulfate which is formed in the first step, it's weakly acidic, because sometime it may again take that hydrogen. Or here, like in the second reaction, it's shown by the reversible sign that the hydrogen sulfate may treat with water and result in the formation of hydronium ion and sulfate ion. And that sulfate ion again in the reverse reaction can take hydrogen from the hydronium ion and result in the formation of hydrogen sulfate in water. So this hydrogen sulfate is weakly acidic. Sulfuric acid has all the reactions of a strong acid, so you are familiar with from this about in your introductory chemistry courses. For example, the normal reactions of the sulfuric acid with the sodium hydroxide is they form sodium sulfate in water in a single step, which show the strength of the sulfuric acid here. In principle, as they have discussed in this paragraph, like if we suppose if we get sodium hydrogen sulfate solution by using half as much sodium hydroxide and just reacting with one of the two acidic hydrogens in the acid, in practice it do not happen actually. Like the sodium, actually, as they have shown the reaction of water with the sulfuric acid in which it ionizes in two steps, actually they say it do not happen. They say in actual practice it will ionizes in a single step and give both of its hydrogen, which show its strength that sulfuric acid is a strong acid. Now reaction with bases, sulfur trioxide, when it is treated with the base directly, it will result in the formation of sulfate, which is calcium sulfate. Like when sulfur trioxide, when it is treated with the basic oxide like calcium oxide, it result in the formation of calcium sulfate. Now next is the oxides of the chlorine. So chlorine forms several oxides, but the two oxides which we will discuss here, that is the chlorine 7 oxide and the chlorine 1 oxide. Chlorine 7 oxide, it is also known as dichlorine heptaoxide, and the chlorine 1 oxide is also known as dichlorine monoxide. So the first one is chlorine 7 oxide. Chlorine 7 oxide is the highest oxide of the chlorine, because in this oxide the chlorine is present in the highest oxidation state, which is +7. So it shows the highest oxidation state of the period 3 elements in case of the oxides of the period 3 elements. Now when we take the reaction of chlorine 7 oxide with water, it react very strongly and it result in the formation of chloric acid, which is also known as perchloric acid. And the pH of this solution in which the perchloric acid is formed, it will also be 0, which is like sulfuric acid, which show its greater strength. It's a strong acid like sulfuric acid. Here is given in the shown in the reaction like chlorine dichlorine heptaoxide, when it is treated with water, it results in the formation of perchloric acid. The structure of the perchloric acid, as we have discussed in the topic, it's given that chlorine has two double bond with the oxygen atom and a single three double bond with the three oxygen atoms, and a single covalent bond is present with the one hydroxyl group. So there is one acidic hydrogen, and when it is replaced, there will be delocalization of charge on all the oxygen atoms, which show its stability and its strength. It's very strong acid. Now reaction with bases, actually they say it's very strong acid. It means like when the charge is delocalized on the all oxygen atom, so the attack of the base it will be easily, because it will be available easily from any side. The electrons will be easily available. Now next is the reaction with bases. When we take the chlorine 7 acid When it is treated with the base, it results in the formation of sodium chlorate 7 like NaClO4, and along with it water is formed. Chlorine 7 oxide itself, it can also react with the sodium hydroxide. Like in the previous cases we have discussed, if we treat the acid form, or if we treat the oxide form, both give the same result. Like sodium chlorate is also formed here. Now chlorine 1 oxide. Chlorine 1 oxide is less acidic than the chlorine 7 oxide. When we take the reaction of chlorine 1 oxide with water, it results in the formation of chloric 1 acid, which is also called hypochlorous acid. HOCl is the formula. So the structure of the chloric 1 acid is exactly as shown by the formula HOCl. It has no doubly bonded oxygen, and there is no delocalization of the negative charge, which is formed by the loss of electron on oxygen atom. So it means that the negative ion which is formed, it's not very stable, and which will be formed when the hydrogen will be removed from it. So it means that it's weaker as compared to the chlorine 7 oxide. Its pKa value is also given, which show its weakly acidic strength as compared to the chlorine 7 oxide. Reaction with bases. When we take the reaction of chlorine 1 oxide, yeah, or chloric 1 acid with with the sodium hydroxide, it result in the formation of sodium chlorate 1, or sodium, which is also called sodium hypochlorite. Its formula is NaOCl. Along with it water is also formed. Chlorine 1 oxide also react directly with the sodium hydroxide, and it result in the formation of same product like sodium hypochlorite NaOCl along with water. If you look at the above reaction, the acid form of the chlorine 1 oxide is treated, which is hypochlorous acid, and in the second reaction the oxide form of the chlorine 1 oxide is taken. Both give the same results. Now dear students, your homework is from the exercise. This topic is also related to the question given in the exercise. So explain the acid base behavior of the, here spelling mistake is given, BEHAVIOUR. So explain the acid base behavior of oxides of period 3 elements. So now you should attempt this topic in such a way. I have discussed in a very much detail to make you prepare for your ETA test, but you attempt it in such a way, like you first define the oxides, then you take the different oxides, their trend from left to right, show it, label it, you can also show or make the table of based upon the pH value, and in the same way then take the oxides of each element of the period 3, and discuss their reaction with the water first, and then with acid or base where it is needed. So in this way you can complete your assignment, and also try to practice it, learn it, because this question mostly comes in paper and in your exams. It's very important question. Thank you, and Allah Hafiz.